Hey, I'm back. This is Chandler from Melda Production. Today I'm going to do part 2 of how to add dynamics to MTurboamp. Last time I showed you how to do that using the dynamic EQ, but today I'll show a different way to do that. So let's get started. I have my clean tone here. It sounds like this. Same as before. And let's get into it. I'll open the edit screen here. Last time I used the input EQ here. This time we're going to do something a bit different. So we're not even going to use this side, the distortion section. We're going to go with the output EQ. And before I used these nodes here and I turn this on and use the dynamic section here to adjust this. But today we're not actually going to do that. We're going to do something else that's a bit different. I'm going to try to model something that's similar to like amp sag that you get in a real analog amp, but it's not going to be exactly the same. Obviously, this is digital. It's not actually analog, but I want to do something that's a little bit similar. And of course, you can adjust it to taste. But what I want to do is I want to drop this output depending on how hard I pick. So instead of using this, what we're going to do is we're going to use one of these modulators over here. What these will do is they'll allow you to do many different things. So let's go here and we'll use clear and learn, and we'll move this output knob. You're wondering, like, what is this? You see, here's the output gain here, but this is just the output from the output EQ. And most of the time I think, it's not so useful. But there are some cases where this is actually useful, and this is one of them. So what we're going to do here is just turn this on. And if I turn on this mod 1 now that I hooked it up, you see it's moving back really fast. If I play it, it's working like a tremolo. Now that could be cool, but to be honest, that's not really what I wanted to do. I wanted to use this follower. And you're thinking, what is this? This will respond to how hard I'm picking. If I play something and you look at this little screen here, it'll show you how loud I'm actually hitting the strings, like this. And what it'll do is it'll actually drop the output depending on how hard I hit it. And see, now it's already down. What I need to do is actually increase or decrease the level minimums and maximums. I think level minimums go around like 30, maybe 35. And then I can bring the level max down to do whatever I want. One thing I should also do here is this RMS length. I like to set this at 0, so that way it's only affecting the peaks. And also you see now it's negative 2.8, and that's because my value here, it put it in automatically as negative 2.8, but I just want to switch that to 0. And then I'll set the max to, let's say, like negative 10 or so. Now watch this output knob as I hit the strings. Now you see it is actually moving it down, but you're like, oh, it's only like 0.05 decibels or something. That's not very much. To change that, we need to bring down the level max like this. So if I bring it down here, you see like now it's doing quite a bit more. I can even bring it down closer. You can hear it's fading in. So set that wherever you think is good. Obviously, if you set it too high, it's barely doing anything. And then if you set it, too low, it's too much. So find a good place in the middle. Let me think. See if I can find a good place. A little bit more. Maybe around where like the top of that's hitting. So let's see. From there, we can change the attack settings and also the release settings we want to. So let's say we want it like 6.2. We can make the release longer if we want, like here. Maybe too long. Make it a little bit shorter. You like. And you can also have it hold, so if I want to stay there for a while without it releasing, like this, that's probably like way too long, but that just gives you an idea of what you can do with this. And there's other things we could do here. If you thought, oh, it's being affected too much by the low end or the high end, you can use the bandpass filter on this, which won't change your actual tone, but it will change how this is being affected by that. Projection, don't really need to mess with that. I don't even know what this advanced mode does. There's things here if you want to do things with the RMS, the true RMS. You can change the attack and release shape if you want to do something, in there. And you also do the sidechain equalizer. You saw it had the bandpass, but if you want to like increase certain frequencies, like, oh, I really wanted to respond to some of the higher notes, I can do that too. Let me see if I boost like here, it'll work better. Like that versus this. I can give you a better example. Like that. So if you want to do that, you can. That might be good in some cases, but like I said, you don't have to do it all the time. That's really up to you. And I think now it's, for the most part, it's pretty good. Only thing is it's doing a bit too much. I don't want quite 10 decibels. I'm doing that just so you can hear it, but I might actually bring this down maybe to like 5. Let's see how this sounds. That sounds a little bit better. But of course, maybe if I was playing single notes, I might want it at 10. What you can do is you can actually change this. I could leave it at, let's say, like -10. And I could use a control to modulate the max level. And that would determine how much sag is actually in there. And I'll actually show you on a device I've been working on. This. I call this KC Special. I'll let you hear it. It sounds like this. If I turn the sag all the way up like this, you hear it's fading in. That's way too much, but I turn it down here. And you can still hear it's a little bit of bloom, and we can mess with that and set it exactly how you want it. And just like before, I did something with the dynamics here. So I have these where I turn it all the way down. Turn it all the way up. See, it sounds different, and you can set this however you want. In the last video, I showed you how the gain actually changes it, and I want to show you in this video how you can adjust that for the input EQ. So I have this, like let's say 7 here. This is like dynamics, and you see this level gain. You can use that in conjunction with the gain here to compensate for it, so it will do the same amount of dynamic reduction no matter how much you crank up the gain. So as I move the gain, look at this level gain here inside of the EQ, or the dynamic EQ. You see, as I bring up the gain of the amp, this band 7, the level gain is going down. So I set that in here, like input EQ, EQ 7 level gain, and you see I have it set like this. It's inverted. So that way, when I turn this up, the level gain for 7 goes down. So that compensates for it. That way, the amount of, I guess, compression here, or the amount of dynamics, is the same no matter how much I turn up or turn down the gain on the amp. Because normally, if I turn it up, you're going to get lots of that compression here on band 7. Whereas if I turn it down, you're going to get nothing, even if I'm hitting it really hard. But now, as you see, when I turned it down, it's moving up. So that way, even if I'm playing with a clean sound, I can still get some of that dynamic flavor in there. You don't have to do that. In real life, if you turn the gain up, it would actually compress more. So if you want to be more realistic, you can leave that off. But for me, I don't care so much about realism. I like digital stuff. So with this, you can kind of keep that and adjust the feel no matter what level of gain you're playing at. So you can put these both in there and adjust these however you want by adjusting the different attack and release settings. One thing I should have told you about before is this sag here. This control and using these mods will take up a bit more of your CPU. So for me, when I do this, I usually like to turn it off when I'm not using it. So when it's 0, it's off. All I did to do that is I have this level max here, or sorry, not level max, mod 1 enabled. See, mod 1. And when I turn it up past like 0, it turns on. You see it's on yellow, or it's yellow there. And then when it gets to 0, it turns off. All I'm doing is here is mod 1 enabled, like that. And I have a transformation shape. I've moved it all the way over here, right to the very right, where there's just a little bit left, like that. Click OK, turn it on, and that'll do that for you. So that way, if you're not using the sag, you can save yourself some CPU. Well, I hope this gave you some ideas of things you can do with the dynamics in MTurboamp. You can decrease them, you can increase them, you can make your sound a little snappier, you can make it a little bit like spongier, etc. So mess around with that, have fun with it, and experiment yourself. Hopefully this gave you some good ideas and you understood this. If you have any questions about it, leave it down below. If you like this, give me a thumbs up and check out all the other plugins at MeldaProduction.com. Till next time, see you.